name's Claire Gleason, and I was one of the strategy directors for Belle Public Relations.
And I'm Bren Calhoun, and I was the research director for Belle Public Relations.
I'm Allie Giroux, and I was the account liaison.
My name is Megan, and I was the event director.
I'm sorry, I was the design director.
I'm Alexis Nico, and I served as writing director.
I'm Erin Boyd, and I'm the other strategy director.
And I'm Margaret Price, and I was the event director for Belle Public Relations. So first, we do want to welcome you. Thank you so much for attending our presentation. We had a very successful semester working with our client, Connections for Life, and I'll tell you, as a group of 7 women, when we found out that our client was Connections for Life and their mission is women helping women, we couldn't have been more excited. So that's where the Belle came from in our name, that we are feminine yet professional. So a little bit more about Connections for Life. What they do is take women coming from periods of incarceration or maybe battered women's shelters or other referral agencies, and they select these women into a 12-month reentry program. So it's 12 months where they help these women recover, basically, and they provide all the transportation for the women. They bring the women to and from work and appointments, and they help these women really get back on their feet coming out of periods of incarceration. It's really easy without funding and friends to go to return back into your own ways and fall into the same habits that got these women in trouble in the first place. So in order for Connections for Life to do this, they of course need money. It's very expensive to support these women, and the program is able to support about 25 to 30 women a year. So we were tasked with the opportunity to not only raise awareness, but also raise funding for the Connections for Life program. And again, being that we are all women and the organization serves primarily women, it was quick to tell right off the bat in discussing our interests and what we have in common, that we all enjoyed fashion and shopping. Go figure, right, as a group of girls. So we decided to plan an event that was both fundraising and awareness oriented, that being Fashion for a Cause. But before we get into more details about the event, I'm going to hand it over to Bren, who's going to talk to you about the research that we performed for our client.
So the situation that has consistently been prevalent with Connections for Life has been a lack of program awareness. Since their start in 2000, the program has slowly reached out to different churches in the Baton Rouge area, but there is still a need for more community involvement. And this year, searching for a new fundraising event, we wanted to do something that would encourage more community involvement, especially with the women, the local women in the Baton Rouge community. Currently, Connections for Life is a word-of-mouth approach, uses a word-of-mouth approach to reach the Baton Rouge community, and because of this, there is a deficiency in up-to-date promotional materials such as flyers, website content, social media outlets. And additionally, the Connections for Life office and thrift store are located in an area that is home to lower socioeconomic households. And because of this, many monetary donors are most likely unfamiliar with the program. The program is directly impacted by the donations and awareness that are raised in the Baton Rouge community. And it is impacted the most if the donations and awareness are not raised. Community involvement is imperative for Connections for Life because if there is no community involvement, they will be unable to uphold their mission to help women become independent members of the Baton Rouge community. Therefore, Belle Public Relations created a survey to measure 3 local church communities' willingness to donate to Connections for Life and gauge their level of awareness of the organization. It was necessary to know these survey results before we could implement a communication plan. And I'm going to pass it over to Claire, who's behind me, and she's going to tell you more about that.
Okay, so prior to the Belle Public Relations Agency working with Connections for Life, there wasn't a lot of research done. So, as Brendan was saying, the survey was created to measure awareness, attitudes, and allowed us to figure out the demographics of the publics. So the survey, we found from the survey that the major publics were Baton Rouge churches, established professionals, local businesses, and college students. And we found that of those groups, the major opinion leaders, were mostly members of the First United Methodist Church. The main demographic was 40 years and older, middle to upper class, and who all have disposable income, and they like to donate their time and money to local charities and non-profit organizations. And our key public is educated with college degrees. They want and like giving back to their community and those who are in need. And the majority are Christian and are actively involved with their churches. And now Alexis will talk a little bit about objectives, strategies, and tactics.
Thanks, Claire. So like Claire was saying, once we kind of figured out who our target audience was going to be, we wanted to create messages that were strategically made for them so that we could reach out to them in a professional way. And one of our goals really was just to educate and inform the community about what Connections for Life does and really kind of better their reputation within the Baton Rouge community. So our first objective was reaching out to those church congregations to have an effect on awareness, specifically about Connections for Life mission of empowering women. And so we wanted to do that from February 3rd to April 25th, the day of our event. We wanted to increase that awareness by 10%. So what we did was really use traditional media because that's really what those audiences prefer. So we did a press release to local news media like Dig Magazine, 225, In Register, WBRZ, WAFB, and actually Karen and Margaret got a chance to be on WBRZ's Tune In program and really talk about what the mission of Connections for Life is all about. And we also took to social media to kind of talk about incarceration rates in Louisiana. Very few people know that Louisiana has one of the highest incarceration rates in the nation. So that's why this project and this program is so important and relevant to the Baton Rouge community. And so secondly, our second objective was for potential business sponsors to have an effect on action, specifically in donating money and resources to the program. Our goal was $6,000, and this money was used to fund, or will be used to fund, the women's, living expenses and any expenses that the program has. And we used print media once again. We created event flyers, donor and sponsorship forms, and took these to their businesses and really sat down and talked with them, asking and really encouraging them to get the community involved and spend time and money with the program. And from that, we kind of shot off into social media and really did some cross-promotional and interactions with these businesses that really took the time to donate for the cause. And so Megan's going to talk a little bit more about our deliverables.
Yes, so throughout this campaign we created a total of 19 deliverables for Connections for Life to help raise awareness, to raise funds as well. So as Claire mentioned, we created that survey that was passed out pre and post campaign. But to kind of just get the actual promotional and awareness about the actual event and Fashion for a Cause underway, we created a donation form, sponsorship deck. We created contact forms, an Eventbrite registration page where people could go on and pay for a ticket online. However, if they didn't go online and pay for a ticket, we also created event tickets that are right there that we would pass out and sell to those people who didn't prefer to do that online. We also created a press release, media advisory, and also an email blast, which was very, very helpful in just creating awareness, gauging, or getting people to just kind of know about the event, and also, kind of getting them to that Eventbrite page so that they could buy tickets. For the actual event, though, we created event signs. We created an actual silent auction bid sheet, which is right here. The whole silent auction part of our event was very important to just kind of raise that money. We got a lot of money from that, so we created that silent auction bid sheet. We created little signs for each person who donated an item. We created an event program. And also contact cards so that we could just get those people's information so that once all this is done and over with, we can kind of reach out to those people, see how they enjoyed the event, and also try and get their support for Connections for Life to kind of go further on down the road. We also created a promotional event video. Claire was very detrimental, my words here today, was very instrumental. Here we go. Was very instrumental in creating this video. This video was very important for the entire fashion show because Karen just kind of talked about what Connections for Life is, but we also, the most important part of the video was getting the women of the program involved. They share their testimonials, their experiences within the program, what they've learned, what they've gained, and people really were able to see how important this program is for women who are, facing hard times, and for them to get better, for them to become independent from being dependent. So that video is very important, and that's also going to be used in the future for Karen as she, talks about the program and, presents it to further audiences. But in addition to those deliverables, we also had great media coverage from it. As Alexis mentioned, we were featured on WBRZ, their Tune In. We were also mentioned in Register's magazine. It was an entire page dedicated to Karen in their nonprofit section, which was very cool. We also had a feature story on WAFB, and then within those different media outlets, there was a ton of event calendars that just mentioned Fashion for a Cause, and we also were featured on the Advocates Party column. So just from all the deliverables we had, we were able to get a lot of media coverage, which really helped promote Fashion for a Cause, get people there, and really helped it become the success that it was.
Alright, I'm just going to talk a little bit about the evaluation section. So first, we exceeded both of our objectives. And as Alexis said, our first objective was to increase the awareness about the program by 10%. And so from our use of both traditional and social media, we were able to increase our Facebook page likes by 10% and our Twitter followers by 96%. And our second objective, which was also exceeded, was to raise $6,000. And we raised a total of $14,785 through silent auction bids, donations, and ticket sales, and after all our expenses, we still raised $12,812.50. And that's more than double our initial number, and we're very proud to say that many Baton Rouge businesses were more than willing to donate to Fashion for a Cause and Connections for Life. And as a result of seeing our promotional messages, approximately 100 people attended Fashion for a Cause. And we're also happy to report that 92% of the program attendees understood the mission of Connections for Life upon the conclusion of the event. And so Belle Public Relations measured the increase in awareness by comparing the initial survey results to the survey results we got at the conclusion of the campaign. And the results showed that awareness for Connections for Life has increased exponentially. And so next, Allie's going to tell you more about our accomplishments and our stewardship goals for the future.
I'm all alone up here.
As everyone said, I'm just going to reiterate the success of Fashion for a Cause. The night was just really emotional and really fun and something different for Connections for Life. It was, a night of fundraising, education, and fashion. And one thing that, we especially loved was having the women there and having them a part of the fashion show. Before we actually had air blow drying bar, they do hair and makeup. They came and took their time to come and do the women's hair, and most of these women have never had that done. I think a few of them were like, this is my first time ever having my makeup done, and that that just makes them feel so confident and so important. And that was something interesting, just something really nice to be involved in. And also, with a successful event, there can always be things that can be improved on. And for next year, that we recommend, Karen, that you do another fashion show, have more of the women involved this time. There was, I think, about 5 or 6 women that were in the show. We also incorporated a lot of other diversity types of women. So people that were in college, people, friends of Karen, volunteers. It was all different sort of women. So we want maybe more program members involved. And there was also women in the audience that got to see their friends up there on the stage, working it. So that was neat. And one other thing, as you know, is we did raise over $14,000, and a lot of that came from sponsors and auction items. So we think that I guess after the auction item, that we could have more volunteers at the tables handing out the auction items. So it's not so much of clutter, and then we can maybe have an ATM machine there so that they can pay for it then and pick it up. I think that would make the the night flow a little better. And so for post-event, Karen and some of the women has sent thank you cards to the sponsors, and also the women baked cookies for them. So this week, Karen and the ladies are going to the sponsors, going face to face with them, thanking them, giving them the cookies, and telling them how much we raised, giving them ideas for next year. And with that, does anyone have any questions for us?
Well, if no one has any more questions, before y'all let us off the hook, we do have a confession to make. Although we did exceed both of our goals and do extremely well, especially in the fundraising aspect, it would not have been possible without what I would consider an 8th member of our team. Our client really went above and beyond for us, not only helped us develop as professionals, but also helped us anytime we needed her. She has a very busy schedule as she completely operates a Connections for Life program with very little help and support, and anytime we needed her, she was just a phone call or a text away. She was absolutely a pleasure to work with, and all of our success, everything we created, would have really amounted to very little if it weren't for Karen's support and guidance. So we'd like to invite her up here and recognize her again as the 8th member of our team, and really a wonderful colleague.
Oh, we got more.
I want to sit down. Oh my goodness.
We got
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful to work